If you could change any choices you have ever made, would you? You can always make another choice and change the course of your success. Everyone has the potency to make inspired choices. Get ready to listen, share, and experience the creativity that is you. Now, here is the host of Inspired Choices radio show, Christine McIver.
Hello, my friends. Welcome to tonight's show. So you are here, and where this is Inspired Choices Network. And whether you are listening live or you are listening in the replay, or maybe you are checking it out from Facebook, welcome to tonight's show. I am your host, Christine McIver, and we are doing our show live tonight. And the show is all about business. You guys know me. I love business. And tonight's show is called Business Owners Resist More Than They Create. And I really believe that to be true. There's so much resistance going on, and there's so many people out there that are desiring more, but yet they are resisting. And that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. And I would love to have you ask your comments and your questions. You can join us live in our chat room at Inspired Choices Network. And we can talk all about business and what's going on with you, what's working, what's not working, and how we can actually move you out of what's not working into more pleasure and more joy with business. So I am your host, Christine McIver. I've been doing this show now I'm in my 12th year. Wait a minute. No, my 11th year. I'm in my 11th year. I started in 2011 and I'm in my 11th year. I think it's 11. Keep getting them mixed up. But I've been doing this show for quite some time, and I love doing this show. And I love challenging people to stretch themselves. And I really love working with clients and speaking with businesses and individuals, soulpreneurs, and really showing them what is possible for them, for their lives, and for their business. And when I'm working with a client, what really lights me up is when a client gets a big aha. It's not about them doing a ton of work. It's not about them completely changing what they're doing, but it's about showing them how they can move themselves and their business forward with pleasure and not with a great deal of frustration. So tonight, that's what this show is going to be about. And I would love for you to come over and join us, as I said, in the chat room. So last week, our show was the number one task for all business owners and for all businesses to have success. So how many of you actually checked that show out? How many of you actually joined that show? That show was one of my favorite topics to speak with people about. And it's absolutely one of the most critical things that we all, whether it's our lives or our businesses, that we all need to be focusing on and moving forward with if we want to have more success in our lives. So without giving the plot away, I would love you to go check that out. You can find that under the podcast platform or any podcast platform that you listen to. Just search Inspired Choices with Christine McIver and you will find that show there. So tonight's show is Business Owners Resist More Than They Create. Now, a lot of business owners, I can kind of perceive them saying, yeah, right. Like, I'm not resisting. Yeah, we are resisting. We're all resisting, whether you're in your own business or you're in your own career or even a relationship. You are resisting. You're resisting as you are aging every single day. We resist. Resistance is something we do without even realizing it. We're doing it so much. But for a business owner or an individual in their own career, you do resist more than you create. And when I finally was willing to hear that, when I finally was willing to understand that and get what that really meant for me and for my life and for my business and for my bank account, when I finally stepped out of my own way and really got away from allowing my ego to drive what I was doing, wow, things really started to change. Now, I'm not completely baked, as I often say. I'm still working on it. I still pay attention to the times and the places and spaces where I do resist. And we do. We all resist again and again and again. And what would our lives be like if we could go beyond the resistance, if we could actually move beyond resistance and allow the resistance to fade into the background so we can truly have more play with creation? Have you ever thought about that? Well, let's get into tonight's show so I can share with you exactly what I'm referring to. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to tell you a little bit about the premise of what we're going to do tonight. We're going to talk about how much you actually resist. We're going to look at the places and spaces where you're resisting. Your resistance can actually be a new perspective of your own abilities and capabilities and your willingness or unwillingness to expand your success, which would actually bring a massive impact to your business. To grow a business, you must first begin with you, the owner. I say this every single week. Your business came to you so it could come through you. You're the one that it wanted to be with, okay? First and foremost, that's what's really, really important. But then what you have to acknowledge and you have to realize is that you are the primary ingredient in your business. And if you are not on a continuous basis looking at where you can grow and where you can evolve and where you can actually become the greater you each and every day, you're actually, if you're not moving forward, it's not that you're stopping, it's that you're actually moving backwards. And the reason for that is because there's so much change and forward motion with what's going on in business and online with business, right? So it's so important that you, the business owner, pay attention to where you're at, where you're doing self-development. I used to have hundreds of books because that was the thing that I was always, when people said, what are you reading? It was always a self-development book. Those are the things that have always interested me. I oftentimes today can be found listening to a book. I enjoy doing that, especially when I'm driving or, even in the kitchen. But self-development is something that I'm committed to because each and every day I desire to be the best me that I can be. And some days I'm not, but you know what? I'm always choosing forward. Is that something that you can honestly acknowledge, that you're choosing forward, that you're choosing to be even greater than you were yesterday? And if you are, kudos to you. All we have is now. And if we're not choosing to continually evolve, if we're not choosing and challenging ourselves to grow, how can we continue to evolve our businesses forward? So remember, you are the main ingredient in your business. And when you give you the focus and the attention and the support that you require, your business can bring you so much pleasure. So tonight we're going to talk about the resistance and where you are resisting and how you can start to change that. So one of the biggest things that that I love to do is I love to read the original definition of words. So the first word I want to talk about is creation, to create. So the word create is to bring into being, to bring something into being, right? That's not rocket science, makes sense. It is to make and bring forth, to produce, procreate, and cause. So to cause something to come forward, to have it be born, increase, or grow. How many of us out here are desiring for things to grow? Are you desiring your business to grow? Are you desiring for your client base to grow? Or are you only desiring for your bank account to grow? Most of us have our eyes on the scoreboard of our bank account growing, and we're not actually looking at our creations to grow, our client connections to grow, our interactions to grow. If you are on the cutting edge of social media, you will know that one of the biggest things that we are taught again and again and again by social media leaders out there is that we need to be interacting with people. And a lot of business owners I know are dragging their feet to do it. I should be doing this. And what is that actually creating? We're not showing up with the energy or the desire to bring something forth. We're actually showing up with this heavy energy, which is resistance. We're resisting creating on social media. That's one of the very first areas. I hear it again and again with people. I hear them saying over and over again, I don't really like to have to do the stuff. Can I just hire somebody to do it? Yeah, you can, but you still better change your attitude about it. Otherwise, that's going to be laid out there with all of your creations. So do keep that in mind, my friends. The next thing that people are doing is they're saying, oh, I don't want to have to be on all of these different platforms. I only like to be on this one. So you are resisting to be on all the different platforms. All I'm trying to do, I'm not saying something is right or wrong, but I want to show you where the many places are that business owners, and likely you in some of these areas, are resisting within your business. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is the word resist. So the word resist is to withstand, oppose, stop, or hinder, to make a stand against, withstand, and to stand firm. So how many of you, and I know there's many of us out there, how many of you are actually holding very strongly to your point of view about what you should and shouldn't have to do in business, right? You are standing firm. You are resisting. So this is just one of the many places that I'm going to be talking about tonight, about how we are resisting and we are standing firm. There's so much opportunity to create. And I can remember when I first started in business, I had a lot of points of view around creation. And what I was doing is I was looking outside of myself at other creators, and I was judging myself, saying, oh my gosh, like, look at them creating, and what could I possibly talk about? What could I possibly create? What should I be doing? What should I be doing? Which was all judgment, right? And I was looking out, and I had resistance, first of all, to the idea that I could even be creating, that I could even reach that milestone that these other creators were creating. That kept me standing very firmly, because I had the point of view that I didn't have what it takes. So I was standing firm in my belief. When you stand firm in your belief, that belief will come to fruition. You are resisting when you add judgment to your belief system. You are resisting again and again and again. What would your life be like if you weren't resisting? What would your life be like if you were actually excited every day to open the door to the possibility of something different showing up in your life? Something different showing up in your business, or something different showing up in your relationships. Resistance is everywhere, my friends. If you are determined to be happy, to create a joyful career, to create a prosperous business, it's time for you to lean in to creation and really start to pay attention to yourself resisting. So we are up for our first break of the show. If you are watching me in Facebook, thank you so much. I would love for you to put down hashtag live. And if you are watching the Facebook Live in replay, please insert hashtag replay. And I would love for you to come over and join us now after the break. We're just going to be live in Inspired Choices Network. So you can go to inspiredchoicesnetwork.com, click on the chat room, and our producers will guide you into the live studio. And after the break, we're going to dive more into this, and we're going to really be talking about the possibilities that are right there you are missing because of all of your points of view. Okay, my friends, you're listening to Inspired Choices on Inspired Choices Network with myself, Christine McIver. We'll be back right after this commercial break. Stay tuned.
Many of us make choices in our lives based on our past experiences or what others believe. What would our lives be like if we made our choices based on what we desire for our futures? When you join Inspired Choices Radio Show with Coach Christine McIver, you'll be provoked to look at what is true and what you know but may not choose that requires your attention. Christine does not hold back and brings all her expertise during each and every show. Are you ready to create the life and the living you truly desire? Listen for Inspired Choices Radio Show every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email become a host at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is the Inspired Choices Show with Coach Christine McIver. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to Christine@inspiredchoices.ca. Now, back to the program.
All right. You are the main ingredient in your business as well. And your business came to you so it could come through you. Tell me something. Are you desiring your business to grow? Are you desiring for your client base to grow? And are you desiring only for your bank account to grow? What if all of those things could grow when you start to become very aware of what we're talking about tonight, which is resistance? So let's get into it. One of the examples that I love to quote, especially when I'm speaking with business owners, is, when I'm talking to them about maybe how their teams are working together, right? And I've talked to lots of individuals about what's going on for them in their jobs. One of the biggest complaints, especially for people that are new in their position, and I'm sure that you've heard this before, my friends, is somebody that makes a suggestion. They're excited. They come into their new job and they're very creative, and they see things. A new person sees things from a different perspective because they've never been there before. And I bet you can guess what I'm going to say. They come into their new job and they have an idea, and they present this idea with enthusiasm. And what inevitably gets said to them? You guessed it. That's not how we do things around here. We tried that once, or that's not going to work for us, right? Resistance right there, right? Or somebody will bring an idea forth and they will say, yeah, I don't think that would work. That doesn't make sense to me. Right away, the walls go up. For some people, and this may happen with you, and it's okay. It's okay if any of this is true for you, but I want you to know that you can change this. You can start to come out of that resistance. What oftentimes, and I know that I've seen this with business owners, heck, it's even been with myself, is where an idea will come forth. And when an idea comes forth, I want you to know that your mind automatically goes into evaluation. Okay, it evaluates it. And what it's actually doing is it is judging it. Okay, that's an automatic process that has been built into us right from childhood, right? Don't touch that. That's bad. And so, oh, that's good, Johnny. Touch that. Do that. So we've been taught good and bad. We have been, when we go off to school, I often say, like, there's a measuring stick. We're being measured. We're being measured against other people. We're being measured against other behaviors. We're being measured against, well, we did really good on this test. We did really bad on this test. Judgment, judgment, judgment. We are being compared and we're being judged. Now, please acknowledge that that's a part of who we all are, and it's a part of what our brain automatically does. Now, this is where you need to really get strong with your desire and challenge yourself. And I really want to encourage everybody out there to challenge themselves to be very present. Be very present when it comes time for you to step into your creative self. Be very present and pay attention to what is coming up for you, what the automatic responses are coming up to you, and be the observer. Okay, I want you to imagine that you are back here and you are observing yourself. Observe yourself. So a new idea comes forward. You read something, you see something on social media, somebody presents something for you, and it comes forth. Your brain goes into evaluation, i.e. judgment, 99.9% of the time, it's hard judgment. It comes forward and you're back here, your conscious self is back here watching you go into resistance, go into, no, that's not going to work. Go into all of the places and spaces immediately. Would you be willing to practice evaluating and observing you as you are in the prospect of something new being presented to you? Would you be willing? All you require is the willingness. You don't have to, quote unquote, know how to do it. Just start. Just start. I'm willing to learn more about myself. I'm willing to learn more about how I am in resistance. So a lot of the times we will be in resistance as business owners because we don't want to be judged. This is the hilarious thing. We're actually in resistance, which oftentimes is because of judgment, because we don't want to be judged by other people. We don't want to be judged by future customers or clients. We're oftentimes more worried about their point of view than actually being willing to try something new and be in creation. Because everything is creation if it's something that you're bringing forth, something new. Maybe it's a new skill. Maybe it's a new way of being forthright and honest. Maybe it's a new way of standing up for yourself, right? If that's not something you've ever done before, you're resisting, right? A couple months back, I did a series on courageous conversations. Well, every single solitary person that I have spoken to about those shows, that series of shows, or anyone that I've ever coached around having a courageous conversation, what's the first thing they say? Oh, I don't like confrontation. No, I don't like confrontation. Well, hello? No one wants to feel uncomfortable. But if you're resisting creating a new way of being, it's going to be even more uncomfortable. And a lot of times as a business owner, when it's time for you to have a conversation with maybe a client, a customer, a team member, when it's time for you to have that conversation, if you avoid it, it will become more and more uncomfortable. But as a business owner, you have got to have your own back and be willing to have those conversations and be willing to grow yourself forward and learning how to remove being resistant and be willing to create a new way of being with these conversations. All right. So when you are resisting conversations, when you are resisting being open to a new possibility, when you are being in resistance, you have got walls up. You have got walls up. Well, if creative ideas is something that you are looking to have more of, or creative opportunities are something that you're looking to have more of, how much do you think that's actually going to come through when you have all of these walls of resistance in different areas up? I know some people that they said, you know what, I just want these type of opportunities to come through. They've decided that this group over here is the only thing that they want. Well, guess what? They are resisting. What they're actually saying underneath that is they are resisting all these other possibilities because this is all they want. Well, I'm telling you right now, that is like trying to put a thread, put a rope through the head of a needle, right? The eye of a needle. It's not going to happen. You are stopping the possibilities again and again. And if you're someone who believes that the universe has your back and that the universe has opportunities everywhere, if you look out at business owners and you look out at people that have great relationships, that have prosperous business, that are joyful in what they do, if you see what they're doing and you want more of it, but you're not willing to receive those possibilities coming in any shape or size or package, then you've got resistance. You are making it harder and harder and harder for the universe to contribute to you when you have got judgment and resistance on how it has to show up, when it has to show up, what it has to look like, what it has to produce. When you have all of these standards in place, you have got resistance going on, my friends. Oh my gosh, it is crazy. And I really want to encourage you to be kind to you as you start to lean in and look at where you have resistance going on. And even if you're a solopreneur, even if you have no team members on your team, even if you kind of do any kind of work where you have very little contact with other people, you still have resistance happening. You still have this massive judgment that is stopping you from allowing yourself to receive more creations, to receive more possibilities, because you're judging yourself how your business should look. You're judging yourself around what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong, which, my friends, that is absolutely stopping the creative juices to come through you to you. It's got to come through you to come to you. But if all you're doing is judging, you're not giving yourself the gifts of creation. All right. That's a lot to think about. That's a lot to unpack. And I would really love for you to take out a notepad and start to write down, whether now or after the show, start to write down where you resist, where you start to see yourself resisting. If you are actually tracking that, when you're reading that list, or maybe you put it in your phone, wherever you put it, if you read that list again and again, you're going to become more conscious. You're going to become more present when that starts to pop up again, and you'll catch yourself. I got a few stories that I want to share with you, and I want to share with you some tips around how you can change this resistance even more. It's actually quite easy, but we don't think about it because we're professional business owners. All right, we're going to go to our next break of the show. You are listening to Inspired Choices with myself, Christine McIver, on the Inspired Choices Network. Again, would love for you to come over and join us in the chat room where we will be taking your comments and your questions. We'll be back right after this commercial break.
Many of us make choices in our lives based on our past experiences or what others believe. What would our lives be like if we made our choices based on what we desire for our futures? When you join Inspired Choices Radio Show with Coach Christine McIver, you'll be provoked to look at what is true and what you know but may not choose that requires your attention. Christine does not hold back and brings all her expertise during each and every show. Are you ready to create the life and the living you truly desire? Listen for Inspired Choices Radio Show every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
How wonderful would it be to carry your favorite Inspired Choices Network host with you throughout your day? Well, now you can. Inspired Choices Network now has its very own mobile app. Our free app offers live streaming shows, along with thousands of podcasts and TV episodes. Our shows cover a wide variety of topics. Whether you're waking up with us, carrying us through the day, and taking us to bed with you, we're always here for you to enjoy. We're easy to find. Just search for Inspired Choices Network in the Apple App Store or Google Play Store.
This is the Inspired Choices Show with Coach Christine McIver. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to Christine@InspiredChoices.ca. Now, back to the program.
All right. Welcome back, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. If you're just joining us, we are talking all about resistance in business and how business owners actually resist more than they create. Imagine that, resisting more than you create. Wow, what does that actually do to our bank accounts? What does that actually do to the pleasure in our lives and in our business? It certainly doesn't make it easy, right? So let me tell you about a time when I absolutely was in resistance. I had an adventure. So I told you, I told you that I have been doing my show, my own radio show, live radio show, podcast, and now TV show as well for 11 years. And when I was in the midst of, I was probably in year, I don't know, I guess it was year 12. No, sorry. It was my second year, but it was in 2012, going over into 2013. So I had only been doing it for a little while. And I had a business partner at the time. And it didn't work out between the two of us. We had started together doing a show, and things just went off the rails. It was probably 2 or 3 months in, and it just was not going to work. So we needed to go our separate ways, but we had a contract in place for a 1 year show. And it was painful. It was difficult. It was uncomfortable. We actually ended up doing alternating weeks, doing the shows by ourselves. And it just, it just wasn't the same. It wasn't the joy. It wasn't the excitement. It wasn't the inspiration, certainly that I love to have when I'm doing my shows. And while I had some great shows and a lot of fun on my shows, there was this niggling about the creation of that show. And so when that ended, there had been a lot of hurt feelings, and there had been a lot of emotions around that. And I thought that when you're in one of those positions, when you're in one of those situations, is a lot of the times all you can see is the negatives. All you can see is this isn't working. I'm not happy, blah, 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 blah. Right. And so when that actually ended, I was so happy. I was so happy it was over. I don't have to deal with that anymore. I am done with this thing. I'm going to do something different. I'm not going to do shows anymore. I had made so many conclusions and so many hard decisions. I had decided that was the end. I'm never going to, which is another way of resisting, because I loved doing my shows and I was good at doing my shows. It was enjoyable for me. It challenged me to show up. It challenged me to be better and better and better all of the time. And it grew me as a business owner. It grew me as a coach, and it grew me as a speaker. So it was certainly something that I enjoyed, but I had made this final decision. Well, guess what? The universe was not done with me with this as yet. And so I went away to a training. And when I came back from this training, one of the tools that we learned was when we woke up each morning, we were to ask our business, what would you like me to create today? Now, the business may not speak like a human speaks, but you will receive awareness. You may receive a picture. You may see words. You may just get a nudge. You may just suddenly see something in front of you, and that is the nudge. Well, as many of you will have known, that what my business said to me was radio show. And I went into so much judgment and so much resistance immediately, because I had only just concluded 3 weeks prior, and where I had said, I am done with this. I am done. And so it was very, very difficult for me when I heard that. And then thankfully, another part of me said, okay, McIver, just stop. You asked, that's what it said. That's what it said. And I went, okay, hang on. And this is where I'm so grateful that I was allowing myself to take a step back from being upset. And I took a step back and I just thought to myself, okay, well, I don't have to conclude that I'm doing it forever and ever. I can just take one step forward. I can just ask the question. So I reached out to the owner of A to Zen.fm, and her name was Holly. And I said, Holly, I think I'm going to come back and do a radio show. And she said, that's great. That's awesome. And so we started creating. I didn't go into conclusion. I didn't go into final judgment. I just said, okay. So I took one step at a time, and I stayed really present with each of my choices as I was going forward. Well, I started back doing my show, and I started having fun again because there was a different energy around it. Again, no big conclusions. I didn't know if I was going to do this for a long period of time or not. And so then I would say it was about a month, 6 weeks later, Holly, the owner of the network, came to me and she said, have you ever thought about producing? And it was so funny because what came into my mind was like, are you kidding me? I'm a business owner. Like, hello, I'm a professional coach. Hello, like, I don't do that. Conclusion, judgment, resistance. And then that beautiful voice inside of me said, just ask another question. I'm like, oh yeah, right. Okay. So there I would put down my resistance and I would just ask a question. So I started to ask her some questions and I thought, okay, well, again, I'm not doing this for the rest of my life if I choose differently, right? So I took a step and then I took another step. And in January of 2014, I started to produce. And I started to produce. And as I started to talk to different people and have conversations with them, some of them were saying, hey, I think I might be interested. And before you knew it, within less than 6 months, everyone that was on that platform, all of the hosts that were on that platform, they were my hosts. So guess what happened to the creation within my business? That started to grow exponentially. Now I was a speaker, a podcaster, a radio show host. I was a professional business and personal coach. And now I was growing and having a new creation producing on my plate. Now, I didn't go into conclusion as to, okay, well, this is the way I should go, or this is the way I should go, right? I just started opening up. I allowed myself the possibility of a new creation. When you put your barriers down and you ask more questions, you start to open up the door to new possibilities. You can make a choice at any time. You can leave again and again and again. But when you allow yourself to ask a question, that is the door that you open, that the universe can bring something new to you. Okay? So I kept asking questions, and before you know it, I was running the platform, and I was producing, and things were going great, and we had many hosts, and I was learning and I was growing, and it was exciting. And then there were some changes that occurred. And, initially I thought, oh, this is not great. And I went into conclusion, and then I stepped back and I asked some different questions. And before you know it, Inspired Choices Network was born. And we just turned 5 years old. Inspired Choices Network is 5 years old as of this January. And honestly, if you'd have said to me 10 years ago, 15 years ago, Christine, one day you're going to be running a radio, podcast, and TV platform, and you're going to have hosts from all over the world, I would have said, you are nuts. But here's the beautiful thing. When you are asking for new possibilities to come, and you're willing for them to come in any shape or size, the universe can bring them to you. But you've got to drop that resistance, and you've got to pay attention to where you are shutting things down from conclusion, where you are judging both yourself, i.e., the resistance goes up, and you are judging the new possibility. When you even have all of these places of standards, you have a set of standards, and you have a set of judgments, and you have these hard and fast belief systems that you're not open to looking at or really challenging yourself about them, you are absolutely putting up massive, massive walls that the universe can't come in to bring you what you've been asking for. We really are our own worst enemies when it comes to creation. And it has so much to do with all the places and spaces where we are resisting. But the great thing is that you can begin to change this very quickly in every area of your life. When something happens, so many of us put up walls, so many of us go to conclusions, so many of us make assumptions over and over and over again about what that means. That woman that I was, when this idea of producing was presented to me, when I put up those walls, I made assumptions around what that would mean and how that would look and how I would be judged. I made so many assumptions, and I'm so grateful. I am so incredibly grateful that I challenged myself to ask another question. Ask some more questions. Try something. When you serve a child some new food and they go into conclusion around, I don't like that. Well, you've never had that before, but they're making a conclusion based on the way that it looks or the smell or what, somebody else in the room is doing, and they don't try it. And so what do we do as parents? We oftentimes will slip it into something else, and before you know it, they're enjoying it and they're so surprised. Well, what if you didn't have to fool yourself anymore? into some of the beautiful creations that are waiting to come to you? What if you were willing to have your eyes wide open and all your walls of resistance down? Okay, we are up to our final break of the show. You are listening to Inspired Choices with myself, Christine McIver, here on the Inspired Choices show, Inspired Choices Network, rather.com. Again, if you would love to come and ask a question or make a comment, you can do so on our chat room, or you can always email me, Christine at inspiredchoices.ca. Stay tuned, my friends. We'll be right back.
Many of us make choices in our lives based on our past experiences or what others believe. What would our lives be like if we made our choices based on what we desire for our futures? When you join Inspired Choices radio show with Coach Christine McIver, you'll be provoked to look at what is true and what you know but may not choose that requires your attention. Christine does not hold back and brings all her expertise during each and every show. Are you ready to create the life and the living you truly desire? Listen for Inspired Choices radio show every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
How wonderful would it be to carry your favorite Inspired Choices Network host with you throughout your day? Well, now you can. Inspired Choices Network now has its very own mobile app. Our free app offers live streaming shows, along with thousands of podcasts and TV episodes. Our shows cover a wide variety of topics. Whether you're waking up with us, carrying us through the day, and taking us to bed with you, we're always here for you to enjoy. We're easy to find. Just search for Inspired Choices Network in the Apple App Store or Google Play Store.
This is the Inspired Choices Show with Coach Christine McIver. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to Christine at InspiredChoices.ca. Now, back to the program.
All right. Welcome back, everyone. You are listening to Inspired Choices with myself, Christine McIver, here on the Inspired Choices Network. And we are talking tonight about business owners resist more than they create. And here's an interesting thing that I've been thinking about. How much of our resistance is actually connected to our belief system? How much of your, again, standards do you have going on that is stopping you from being open to a possibility? Here's something that I absolutely know, whether it is somebody actually connects with you and they actually ask you about an opportunity, or they ask you about a possibility of you doing something in a different way. How much do you realize that your eyes don't even see the opportunities in front of you? You actually have made so many conclusions and so many judgments that what you end up actually doing what you actually end up doing is you are stopping yourself from even being able to see what is happening because of all of your conclusions, because of all of your decisions, right? And so something might be posted right in front of you. Something might be in the news. Something might be, in a space where you should be seeing this. You absolutely should be seeing this, but you can't see it. You can't see it for love nor money because you have made this conclusion. You have all of these places and spaces where you're going to, no, that's not what I do. I don't like that. And so you absolutely have cut off the possibilities being available for you to even see. Being available for you to even see. And what happens then when you do that? Well, you are literally allowing that opportunity to float by you. Would you be willing to challenge yourself, to open your eyes and see all the possible opportunities that are out there? Here's a fun thing to try. When you are seeing someone or something going on, I want you to start asking this question. What would it be like for me to allow that possibility into my life? What would it be like for me to allow that possibility into my business? And don't go into conclusion. Allow the universe to bring you those possibilities. Allow the universe to bring you the possibilities that may change things for you. Okay? So don't, again, go into conclusion. Just say, what would it be like for me to allow those possibilities in? And the universe now says, okay, she's open. He's open. He's willing. He's willing to look at it. He's willing to see it. He's willing to hear it. If you would allow yourself to even open that door of possibilities, the floodgates of opportunities and creation is going to come pouring in. I can tell you, when I first started, as I was talking about at the beginning of the show, when I first started my business, I was looking at everybody creating, and I felt like I was in a sandbox. I was so dry. I was so dry with ideas, and I would beat myself up, and I would go into so much self-judgment. And because I was not willing, I had so many conclusions around how I needed to show up and what my business was supposed to look like, and how I was supposed to be. And oh my God, all that bullshit that we're fed, let it go. Let the bullshit go. And I'm telling you, when I started to let all of that go, and I started to be open to, well, I wonder if that might be a possibility. I've never thought about that. And just that real open energy. My gosh, the ideas that come into me all the time, I can't keep up with it. I cannot keep up with all of those ideas. My friends, the creative ideas out there are swirling in the universe. Let go of your resistance. Allow yourself to have more fun and more play. I'm so grateful that you were here. I would love to hear your comments and your questions. Email me, Christine@inspiredchoices.ca. And don't forget to come back next week. So next week, we have another great show called How to Have Your Own Back in Business. I can't wait to see you. Remember, you can always make another choice.
Thank you for choosing to listen to Inspired Choices Radio Show. Christine McIver will return next Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. We hope you'll join us. Until then, be willing to choose what you really desire. This is your life, making the choices that bring you all that you desire.